Hey, what's up? What's good? Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles now, and we're live here on Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, as always, I appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. It is a beautiful Wednesday, October 2nd, and even though the Eagles are entering their bye week, we don't take bye weeks here on Eagles Now. There is a lot to talk about on the show today. I'm going to explain how Jayden Daniels and the Commanders are a threat. Should the Eagles either bench or trade Darius Slay because of his porous play? Could we see Philadelphia make some major changes to their roster? And then in segment number 4, Quinyon Mitchell has been a star to start his rookie season. We're going to take a look at those numbers, how the Eagles' schedule gets a little bit easier, which could serve as a launching pad for the Birds, and Kellen Moore's plan that should help this Eagles offense get started a little bit quicker in some of these games, as Philadelphia is the only team in the NFL to not have scored in the first quarter all year long. Let's pop up today's poll question. I want to hear from you. What is your level of confidence in the Eagles coming out of the bye week? I want you to scale it from 1 to 100. 1, not confident at all. 100, very confident that this team can find a groove, get it together, and reach their expectations. Let me know down in the chat. We'll start to give you some shout-outs. Alex Arita said 45. Philly Flyover said 0. Zach said 63. Cool Rain said 85. Sharif Newsom 50. Xander 0. Frank from Philly 1. Elijah Stovall 62. Ray going with 50. Joseph Hillard 81. Producer Chip is in the house. Chip, your level of confidence that the Eagles can get it together coming out of the bye week. How do you feel about this football team?
Man, it's tough to, give a high number just based on
not been a good 2-2 start.
Seen.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, I still feel better than a 50.
Okay.
I can't go as high as like 90. I'm going to go like 72.
72.
I'm not going to go quite to 75.
All right.
I believe in the talent. I believe in the players the Eagles have. And I believe in the coaching for the most part. I think when they get some of their guys healthy back, they'll be better than they were against the Bucs. I don't think they're that bad of a team. Are they as good as maybe we thought they could have been? I don't know. But as you mentioned, the schedule gets easier. So I do think, as you can see in our poll question on the live chat, are the Eagles a playoff team? I think they're still a playoff team for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Alex Irvine is with you. You said 72. He said 75. Robert said 90. Rich Clare said 50. I think anytime that you suffer a bad and ugly loss like Philadelphia did, the confidence is going to be down, and now we won't see this football team in action playing a game for another 2 weeks. I am surprised, though. Are the Eagles a playoff team? It was just 59%. Now it's up to 61%, hovering between that and 62. So that is very interesting. Paul, a $50 super chat. We're going to get to that just around the corner, but first, have to give a shout out to our sponsor today, and that is our friends at Game Time. For me, I love sports, but I have other interests outside of sports, and when you talk sports every day for a living, sometimes it's good to unplug a little bit, go to a comedy show, go to a concert, maybe a theater show. Well, on the Game Time app, you can find tickets to all types of events. Eagles games, Phillies games, Flyers games, Sixers games. But you can also go to a comedy show, a concert, or a theater event. Game Time specializes in last-minute tickets at the lowest price guaranteed. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And you can also access tickets from your phone. Game Time Picks is a great feature because curation will allow you to find the best seats at affordable prices for all of these types of events. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and when you use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, you get $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. What time is it? Game Time. And the technology and the user interface makes this a very easy app to use. Here is that super chat coming in from Paul. EAGLES Eagles! Everybody type PC in the chat for our guy Paul C. Slay should be downgraded from cornerback 1 to cornerback 2 or 3. I think Sirianni still has a vanilla offense, needs to change it up or go home. Jalen Hurts needs to just throw and trust his wide receivers and not play favorites. Defense needs to tackle. Thoughts? So, yeah, let me answer that. Darius Slay has definitely struggled. He's given up the third highest passer rating among all cornerbacks in the NFL this year. I think that he did play well against the New Orleans Saints, but everybody played well against the New Orleans Saints. In the other 3 games, yeah, I think Darius Slay has struggled, and maybe his age is starting to catch up to him a little bit. And I thought that it was bogus, it was outrageous for him to take to social media and tweet out his resume after his defense that he's a captain of, and he himself got cooked against the Buccaneers on Sunday, but he has put together a really special NFL career. He actually leads all active players in pass breakups. He's a multi-time Pro Bowler. He's made it to 3 straight Pro Bowls with Philadelphia. So that is impressive, but he needs to play better. And if he doesn't, you have Eli Ricks, Isaiah Rodgers, and Keely Ringo all waiting in the wings, and those are really talented young corners for this team, and Quinyon Mitchell has looked like the best corner on this Eagles team to start the year. As for Sirianni, I loved what I saw week 1 from Kellen Moore. They were using pre-snap motion like 65+% of the time. In the 3 games since, the pre-snap motion has gone downhill. That's inexcusable. Does that mean that Nick Sirianni is in the ear of Kellen Moore? If that's the case, get out of the offensive game planning room, because we know that Nick Sirianni's offenses are predictable and vanilla, and I'm tired of frankly seeing it. And the whole point of hiring Kellen Moore was to allow him to fully take over this offense. Play designs, play calling, the scheme. Nick, if your fingerprints are on that offense, get out of here, manage the game, and be one of those CEO head coaches. For Jalen Hurts, yeah, he needs to start trusting his wide receivers a little bit more. Jahan Dotson led all Eagles wideouts in separation on Sunday. Yet Jalen Hurts won't pull the trigger in throwing the football to him, hasn't had a lot of time to build up the camaraderie, so obviously that is important because Dotson wasn't with the team for much of the preseason leading up to week 1. But Hurts has to do a better job and not play favorites, and then the defense needs to tackle. You're right. 15 missed tackles against the Buccaneers on Sunday. That simply cannot happen. It's one of the foundational elements that you have to check the box of as a football player, yet the Eagles still have struggled in that category. Last year, going into this year, that is no doubt a problematic trend. All right, we're about to start the show. We have 230 people watching live. Can we get to 100 likes? Hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. If you're ready to talk some Eagles, Chase Sr., Jake Chipper here with you. We have some Major League Baseball playoffs on the big screen right here. Baseball was my first love, in addition to the Eagles being my first love. So we're ready to ramp it up and talk some Eagles here. We have 4 segments to get to, so we'll be live for the next hour and change. Don't go anywhere. Why would you? Do you want to be informed? Do you want to have Eagles content that's very insightful? Do you want to be entertained? You want that brain to get churning a little bit? Do you want to learn about this Eagles team? Do you want to have fun and have a voice on a massive show on YouTube, which is the largest independently run Eagles channel here on YouTube? If all that sounds good, let's hang out. Let's talk some Eagles. Hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. 46 likes away from 100. I need everybody smashing that thumbs up icon right now. Shout out to the recent commenter club, Kevin Gordon, Frank from Philly. It's your boy Chris, Alex Arita, our guy Paul C. for the $50 super chat. If you want to send in a super chat, we love your donations and we appreciate your donations. And with that, let's talk some Eagles right now on this Wednesday, October 2nd. Welcome into the show. This is Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, as always, I greatly appreciate you for taking the time out of your day to watch the program. And what I want to get into, Eagles are going into the bye week. There's not a ton to talk about pertaining to the Philadelphia Eagles, but we have to keep our eyes on some of the divisional foes inside the NFC East, in particular, one of them who we're going to talk about on today's show in great detail. and that is the Washington Commanders. And their emergence and the play of rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels is bad news for the Eagles, because it looks as though the Commanders and Jayden Daniels are the real deal. And because we're talking about an NFC East divisional rival, we take a look at our sub-battle here at Chat Sports among all channels who cover the Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, and Commanders inside the NFC East under the Chat Sports umbrella. Eagles now is killing it. We have had a record season up to this point. It wouldn't be possible without all of you. And over the last 28 days, this channel has picked up nearly 6,000 new subscribers. We are crushing Giants now. We are crushing the Cowboys report. And it's not even a competition between Eagles now and the Commanders report. But I love blowing up the scoreboard. I love extending that lead. So if you want Eagles coverage that comes your way every single day year-round, that involves you, as you have a voice on this program, and anytime I'm in front of this camera, on this microphone, I want the content to be as insightful, informative, entertaining, and thought-provoking as possible, then hit that subscribe button right now and join the largest independently run Eagles channel right here on YouTube. Let's begin with this. Just an overall look at the NFC East standings going into Week 5. As I noted, Philadelphia entering the bye week at 2-2. Tied for second place with the Dallas Cowboys, who are also even at 2-2. The Giants are 1-3. And how about the surprise Washington Commanders, led by Jayden Daniels, who have been one of the better, more prolific offenses in the entire National Football League. And you look at the first month of play for the Commanders. They started off the season with the 17-point loss on the road to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who, as we saw last week, I think they're a pretty good football team. Then in Week 2, the Commanders beat and edge out the New York Giants 21-18. They go on the road in primetime, beat the desperate Cincinnati Bengals 38-33, and Joe Burrow was terrific in that game, but Jayden Daniels was even better. And then last week, the Commanders able to bounce the Cardinals with the 42-14 victory, 3 straight wins for Washington. And my overall takeaway from the beginning of this season for the Commanders, Jayden Daniels is a dog. I don't think that anybody can deny that. And I know it's early, but to start the season, he has looked incredible. He is displaying accuracy. He's throwing with timing, touch, accuracy, and anticipation. He's making really good decisions with the football. The offense and he himself, they've been so efficient to crazy degrees, as we're about to talk about here on the show. And Jayden Daniels, like he was at LSU last year when he won the Heisman Trophy, he can carve you up, slice you and dice you with his arm, but he's so difficult to contain as an athlete because he is a dual threat quarterback who can gash you with his legs. Jayden Daniels so far this year and the Commanders, they have more scoring drives, 23, than Daniels does incomplete passes, 19 through his first 4 NFL games. So to kick off his rookie year, he is off to a historic start. He leads the NFL among all quarterbacks in completion rate at 82.1%. And as the Commanders have started to find a groove, as they've won 3 games in a row, and some of the casuals start to understand that he's a pretty special player, he has the #1 selling jersey on Fanatics over the last week. His season numbers up to this juncture of the season: 87 of 106, his completion rate, #1 in the NFL, as I said, 82.1%. He's thrown for nearly 900 yards. The touchdown to interception ratio is down, only 3-1, and that's because he's also added some touchdowns with his legs. These are passing touchdowns, and the Commanders have been able to successfully run the football when in the red area, and he's averaging 8.5 yards per completion. A big reason for Jayden Daniels' success is the play calling and play designing of offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, who Dan Quinn hired, was the quarterback's coach at USC last year for Caleb Williams, used to be the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals alongside Kyler Murray. He was fired, and before that, he coached Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech. And what I want to show you here is part of that analytical and efficiency discussion, because this has to do with the play of Daniels and the play calling of Cliff Kingsbury. This is a chart which shows you quarterback accuracy and average separation. So Kingsbury is drawing up plays where there is a lot of receiver separation, giving Jayden Daniels big windows to throw through, right? But also his quarterback accuracy has been phenomenal. And if you look at the top right corner, that's the outlier there, as Jayden Daniels is head and heels over any other quarterback in the NFL as far as accuracy. And obviously Kingsbury has helped his rookie quarterback with the play designing, which has led to a lot of separation. And then we flip the page to this as we get nerdy on you here early in the show. Adjusted expected points added per play leaderboard in 2024. This is another way to measure efficiency. Brock Purdy is number one, as he's been a very efficient quarterback to start the year. Jayden Daniels is at number 2 here. And if you're looking for Jalen Hurts, he's all the way down at 25, as he's off to a rocky start here in 2024. That goes without saying. Why all of this is bad news for the Eagles? 5 reasons here. I think going into week 5, through the first 4 games, it's pretty clear that when you compare Washington to Dallas, Philadelphia, and the Giants, they are the number 1 team in the NFC East. And the Commanders have a real chance to win the NFC East this year. Going into 2024, nobody would have given them a shot. And what looked like 2 easy wins on the schedule for the Eagles are now going to be hard-fought games, because this team is taxing to defend, and their defense has played pretty well. After all, Dan Quinn is the defensive head coach. The Eagles also have a struggling defense to try to match up against Jayden Daniels. The Commanders, could they be great for the next 5 to 10 years with Jayden Daniels as this team's quarterback? And are they going to be a long-term power? We haven't had to worry about the Commanders for a long time, my entire life, because they've mostly been irrelevant. Is that going to change and flip on its head? Because the Eagles have been the most successful team in the NFC East and one of the more successful teams in the NFL since the turn of the century in 2000. And over the next 4 or 5 years, as Jayden Daniels is on that rookie contract, the Commanders have money. They have cap space. They have picks. And if he continues to play like this, other players are going to want to go to Washington, one of the blue blood franchises. So that's why this is bad news for the Eagles. So with that, I pop up today's poll question. Do the Commanders worry you? I want you to be honest with me. Type Y for yes, type N for no. We always want your voices to be heard right here on this program. Coming up next, there is a trend that I want to point out, and I'm going to explain how the Eagles could stop Jayden Daniels. We're not going to be overly complimentary of Washington Jayden Daniels, so stay tuned for that. But our sponsor today, our friends at Game Time. I love going to Eagles games. I love going to sporting events. But when you talk sports for a living, sometimes you need to unplug and you want to go to something other than a sporting event, like a concert, a comedy show. I love to laugh. I love music. Sometimes I like going to theater shows. Game Time has tickets to sporting events, but all of these other events as well. And they specialize in last-minute tickets at the lowest price guaranteed, and you will get the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. This interface in the app is better, and this app in general is better than any other competitor in the ticket marketplace. Of course, still plenty of tickets available for an Eagles game this year. After the Week 5 bye, the Eagles will host the Cleveland Browns. And what I love about this app, you can really get specific with where you want to sit, right? If you're very particular about which yard line you want to sit at, there's the aerial view here, or you can see that view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. So, download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. Game Time picks. Curation makes it easier to find the tickets that you want to go to and buy. So terms apply. First purchase only. What time is it? Game Time. All right. How the Philadelphia Eagles can stop Jayden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. We're going to go through Daniels' performances in the first 4 games of the year. Week 1 against a Todd Bowles defense, and we know that that defense has historically given Jalen Hurts a lot of issues. The Commanders lose that game by 17, and Daniels made some plays with his legs, made a couple of good throws. He was 17 of 24, 184 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, and his completion percentage over expected, minus 4.7. And as you can see with the next-gen stats throwing chart here, Daniels didn't really push the ball downfield, but he was able to complete balls both sides of the field here, and that's as evidenced by the green dots. The white dots are the incompletions, and he wasn't really explosive with taking the top off of the defense. I think in that first game, Washington had a game plan. Jayden Daniels, play point guard, get rid of the ball against this very aggressive defense, and spread the ball out. In week 2 against the New York Giants, Daniels goes 23 of 29, 226 yards, and here you see a little bit of a shift where Daniels is still throwing the ball to the right side of the field and the left side of the field, but he started to complete passes downfield as well. But how about the last 2 weeks? This comes down to how teams have defended Jayden Daniels, but maybe it's a glimpse and a look at what he prefers in some of his strengths and how Philadelphia might be able to stop and limit and game plan against Jayden Daniels. What do you recognize here? Let me know in the chat. What I recognize is that Daniels was 21 of 23, right? 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks against the Cincinnati Bengals. He had more total touchdowns than he did incompletions in that game, and he was terrific. The blue streak is the long ball that he threw to pretty much seal the game for Washington. But again, what do you notice? And I'm testing your football knowledge. A lot of his completions were on the right side of the field. And that is easiest for a right-handed quarterback when you drop back because your momentum kind of takes you to that right side. Now, he did hit that long ball deep on that left side, no doubt about it. But then you look at week 4 against the Arizona Cardinals, and what do you notice again? It's Jayden Daniels who went 26 of 30. Again, efficiency, accuracy, buzzwords on today's show. He's once again completing a lot of passes to the right side. And as teams are able to get more tape and they can do more research on Jayden Daniels, will the book be out on him and the preferences of him and Cliff Kingsbury and this entire offense? Something to monitor looking forward. In this game, what's also very impressive for Daniels, his completion percentage over expected plus 11.8%, which means he wasn't really supposed to complete a lot of these footballs, yet he still was able to. So we round out with this. Which team is the biggest threat in the NFC East for the Philadelphia Eagles? Let me know down in the comment section. Thanks for being a real one. And if you made it to the end of the show, give me a real one right now. All right, 3 segments to get to here live on Eagles Now. We are 1 like away from 100. I see John Bonavita Cola in the comment section. Frank from Philly, a part of the recent commenter club. And Jeff Chipper saying Dallas, and he is a Dallas Cowboys fan. Kevin Gordon said nobody. Sports Prod's announcer said Washington. Green Wingman, $10 super chat. Although it has been impressive what Washington has been doing with Daniels, it's only 4 games, and we need to wait to see until his sophomore season to see if he is legit. Washington has had success with rookie quarterbacks before, and they haven't ended up having long careers. The most recent example, Robert Griffin III. They did have Kirk Cousins. They let him go, and he's ended up being a statistical maven in his NFL career. We're up to $60 in super chats. We're 40 away from 100. Our goal on today's show for Chip and myself is to get a Benji, get to the 100 mark. Can we do it? We're $40 away. We obviously always appreciate your support. Segment number 2 is coming up next. If you're liking the show, continue to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video right now. Coming up on today's edition of Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports, I'm Chase Sr. Thanks for hanging out here with me. Should Darius Slay get benched? And if the Eagles do bench him, could they trade him? And then topic number 2, having to do with Darius Slay, he apologizes to Eagles fans for his tweet storm after getting dump trucked by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and then going on the Micah Parsons podcast and not really backing up his teammate in C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Let's begin with Darius Slay as the football player. Forget the drama. Forget the appearance on the Micah Parsons podcast. Him signaling incomplete in the end zone against Tampa Bay when the Eagles are down multiple scores and the man that he was covering dropped the touchdown. Forget about the antics, right? Darius Slay, the football player. Should the Eagles bench him? Should they trade him? Darius Slay in 2024. He has an overall Pro Football Focus grade of 66.4. That is not bad. He has a coverage grade of 67.3. Not terrible either. But he is giving up a passer rating of 129.7 and a yards per catch of 14.8. Part of the reason why he is struggling and why this Eagles defense is struggling, the Eagles have played non-press coverage sets 88% of the time. That's the highest mark in the NFL. So that leads to a bigger yards per catch type of number. But the passer rating is a little bit concerning here for Darius Slay. And I'll give him his flowers. Among active players in the NFL, he actually leads all players in pass breakups. But sticking with the highest passer rating allowed across the entire NFL, and that passer rating number, Darius Slay is giving up the 3rd highest passer rating in the National Football League at 129.7. Benjamin St-Juste of the Commanders, Deonte Banks, the only players in the NFL at that cornerback spot who are giving up higher passer rating numbers. And in the city of Philadelphia, we ask a few things of our athletes in the city of brotherly love. We want you to play hard and hustle. We want you to show that you care. We want you to take accountability. We do not want you to make excuses. And we want you to respect the fans. And among these 5 things right here, what did Darius Slay violate in the aftermath of that Buccaneers game? I don't think he played hard or he hustled. He didn't show that he cared. He didn't take accountability. He made excuses. And he disrespected the fans by tweeting out his resume and then going on the podcast with Micah Parsons. And that's why Eagles fans are fired up and annoyed with Darius Slay right now. Against the Buccaneers, the Eagles are getting cooked all game. I know it's 107 degrees in Tampa, and the pirate ship is shooting cannons. And the Eagles didn't really have a chance in that game after the first 2 drives because of the defense, right? But Darius Slay was a part of that porous defensive effort, and he wasn't good in that game. And to celebrate a touchdown being dropped, that's pretty corny. What's cornier is that when you get cooked and your defense that you're a captain of gets fried, you get annoyed by fans tweeting at you. It's the social media era. A couple of sayings out there. Never value the opinions of people who you don't care about, who don't care about you. Don't worry about other people's opinions who you'll never take advice from. It's social media. It's a cesspool. You have to have better control of this as a professional athlete, especially in the city of Philadelphia. And when you tweet this out and then you delete it and then you protect your tweets, that is not going to fly in this city. So it's great, Darius Slay, that you have 150 pass breakups and counting. Again, leads all active players. That you have 28 interceptions and counting. You're a 6-time Pro Bowler. You've been to the Pro Bowl the last 3 years for this Eagles team. Yes, you've been an All-Pro. But for you to say, when you talk bad about me, don't forget to mention the greatness of me too. Eagles fans know ball. Don't insult their intelligence, which is what you're doing here. But this is a what have you done for me lately type of league. When the receipts are out, the film doesn't lie. And to start this year, you have not been good. You're making a lot of coin, and you're not taking accountability. When you get cooked by Drake London in week 2, you're going to say, good route? No, Eagles fans don't want to hear that. You have to be a little bit better. And from a roster standpoint, Quinyon Mitchell has been this team's #1 corner this year. He's played superb. And Darius Slay could be in danger of either getting dealt or his snaps being limited or him getting outright benched. Because you think about this Eagles cornerback room, and we talked about this all offseason. They're pretty deep. Keely Ringo, I think, could be a starter in this league. Isaiah Rodgers was running with the ones all summer. Eli Ricks is long, lanky, has talent. And Isaiah Rodgers and Eli Ricks and Keely Ringo, they're not playing at all this year because ahead of them, Quinyon Mitchell and Darius Slay. So does this defense need juice? Does this defense need a youth movement? Does this defense need an injection of energy? And if that's the case, could they make some personnel changes and go with some of these younger players to see what they can do? Because at some point, you have to see what they can do. And this Eagles defense up to this point, they haven't been helped out by the offense, but the offense hasn't been helped out by the defense. This is not a Philadelphia team that is playing complementary football in all three phases of the game. But defensively, for the purpose of this conversation, Eagles are 23rd in points per game, 29th in yards per game, 30th in yards per play, 17th in third down conversion rate. They are 9th in the red zone. So that's a good takeaway out of those porous defensive numbers. But Slay, going back to him, he's a team captain for a reason, right? He is respected, and across the NFL, he's one of the more respected players in the National Football League. He does have a fun personality, and he has talked about that. And he even said it on his podcast when he apologized to Eagles fans, and we're going to get to that coming up, where he mentioned Jalen Hurts as a leader. He's more vocal. Darius Slay likes to be goofy, a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit softer. But look, if him and the defense continue to struggle, all of that stuff doesn't matter. What we care about is you producing, you caring, and so far Darius Slay hasn't been producing, and he showed us that he didn't really care about that Buccaneers loss. Again, that's why Eagles fans are perturbed by Darius Slay. So with that, today's poll question is this: what should the Eagles do with Slay? P for play, B for bench him. If you want to include T for trading him, let me know down in the comment section. If you're an Eagles fan, good chances you are also a Philadelphia Phillies fan. Myself, Chip, we grew up in the Philadelphia area. Philadelphia Phillies diehards. And the Phillies get postseason play underway on Saturday at Citizens Bank Park. First pitch scheduled for just after 4 p.m. And the Phillies, for the first time since 2011, able to win the NL East. This has been a very good division over time. So that is an accomplishment. Obviously, if they get bounced early, it won't even matter. But if you're October ready and you want to show everybody that the Phillies own the East, get your Phillies gear today. Red shirts, blue shirts available for hopefully what is a long playoff run for the Phillies. Head to chatsports.com/Phillies, and you can save money today thanks to our friends at Fanatics with some Phillies gear. So the next portion of this segment and today's show is Darius Slay apologizing for the Twitter storm, for going on Micah Parsons' podcast, and how he handled himself after that Buccaneers game. So here's what he had to say on his podcast about going on the Micah Parsons podcast, because a lot of people were caught off guard by that. Why would you ever join a division rival, is what a lot of fans said. I feel as if a lot of Eagles fans are very, very upset about me on the podcast with Micah Parsons. To be honest, I've known him before he became a Dallas Cowboy. We trained together when he was coming out as a young guy. We grew a great relationship. When we play the Dallas Cowboys, either here or at home, we both use each other's tickets. His family sits by my family sits by his family at the games. We have a great relationship. But I do understand the conflict, as the Eagles and Cowboys are rivals. It's real beef. It's real beef. And I'm not like a real controversial type of person. I'm kind of cool with everybody. I know y'all don't like that. I know y'all don't like that because that's not the Philly style. But how I was raised is I treat people how I want to be treated. So I just treat people with respect. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. But there's also a time and a place for when you go on a podcast of a division rival, especially a team like the Dallas Cowboys. And the time is not after you're tweeting like you did, protecting your tweets, blocking people when you say you can talk about me however you want to talk about me. I don't care. Clearly you do care because you're blocking people on X. But then the time is not to go on his podcast after an awful defensive performance against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And as part of this conversation too, would Brian Dawkins do this? Would Malcolm Jenkins do this? Would Seth Joyner do this? The simple answer is no. And part of this is a generational shift where nowadays players are a little bit different with how they get along with rivals and other players. Jersey swaps, posing for photos, going on podcasts. And I totally understand. Players have brands these days. And football players aren't as marketable as, say, an NBA player or a quarterback in the sport of football. You got to make your money, and you got to make a name for yourself the way that you can make money and make a name for yourself. But again, this week was not the time and the place, especially when Micah Parsons brought up C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and you're kind of just laughing about it after Parsons and C.D. Deuce went back and forth, and clearly C.D. Deuce took that personally, and he's not a guy that you really want to mess with, and he's been the heart and soul of this Eagles team this year. Here's what Slay said about C.J. GJ. If y'all feel like I betrayed him as a teammate, that would never be the case. I'm not one of them type of guys to betray a teammate because I would not laugh about something that me and him can't laugh about as well. I can never laugh at anything Chauncey can't laugh about because we done laughed about that situation before. Y'all know how Chauncey is. He's a hell of a player, and he likes to talk his shit, and that's what he does. So he brings a lot of media attention to himself because of who he is as a person. He's just active, and that's what he does. I'm the dude that is just quiet, and I interact with fans in a different type of way than he does. And again, like, it's okay that Darius Slay is his own person and C.J. Gardner-Johnson is his own person, but you can't really take the risk of annoying your teammates. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson took to Instagram and posted a story that said, damn, ... Did that have to do with Slay on the Parsons podcast, something else? We're not sure. Darius Slay's apology to Eagles fans. This is good. He's taking accountability here. He knows that he was in the wrong. So I apologize, Eagles fans. From the bottom of my heart, that won't happen again. I do take accountability for my wrongs. That was wrong for me doing that. That was kind of selfish and a selfish act a little bit because I've never been like that. That wasn't it. That's not my character. But yeah, y'all got under my skin. I'll admit it. Y'all got under my skin. Again, taking accountability and admitting that fans got under his skin, which should never happen on social media because it's social media after all, and that's what happens. People are hiding under profiles that don't have their real faces on their profile pictures, not their real names. You have to just know better as a professional athlete, especially in this city. So thanks for taking accountability. Do you accept Darius Slay's apology? A for accept, D for decline. Let me know down in the comments section. I want to see where you're at here. All right, J. Sid, $20 super chat. Minnesota, Washington, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Detroit, San Francisco, Atlanta. So the Eagles are in there with the Green Bay Packers and the New Orleans Saints. It's a long season. The defense is the key. Too soft and reactive. Slay fits right in. Can they ramp it up? Tackling, physicality. Tackling has been an issue. Physicality has been an issue. And let's look at that grouping of teams. I mean, Minnesota is undefeated right now. They're playing great ball, better than the Eagles. Washington playing better than the Eagles. The Eagles are now owned by Todd Bowles and Tampa Bay. In a head-to-head matchup, Philadelphia and Seattle, I might side with Philadelphia, but if the game is in Seattle, the Eagles haven't won there in, I think, since 2008 is the statistic. I don't think the Eagles right now are better than Detroit. They're not better than San Francisco. I do think they're better than Atlanta, but they let that game in the head-to-head slip through their grasp. Eagles are better than Green Bay, and they beat the Saints. The defense is key, and I do agree with you, Jay Sid. Like, if they can be an average to solid team, and the Eagles can get back A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Lane Johnson, you have to imagine the Eagles' offense can carry this team. But Jalen Hurts is going to have to play better football. 54 turnovers in 60 games. It is inexcusable, and he doesn't look like the same player that we saw in February of 2023 in the Super Bowl during that 2022 season. It's been a fast and precipitous drop for him. Okay, we're going to move forward to segment number 3. Who's ready? Type me. Type me if you're ready. Continue to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. Our goal for today, $100 in super chats. We are officially $20 away from that number. And coming up next are major moves coming for the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's get into it right now. The Philadelphia Eagles are 2-2, going into their Week 5 bye. And coming up on today's show on Eagles Now are major moves coming for Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni, and this Eagles team. And could the Birds be making some sizable changes to their team going into the bye week, coming out of the bye week, with the Cleveland Browns awaiting at Lincoln Financial Field in Week 6? Let's dive in. So I do think that Philadelphia can do a better job of making a change offensively and trying to prioritize getting Jahan Dotson involved. I think anytime that your offense is more multifaceted, more diverse and versatile, you're always better off. And I do think that Dotson can be a solid receiver in this league because I've seen him be a competent receiver in this league. After all, he was a first-round pick, and in my previous job when I scouted him at Penn State, I thought that he was worthy of being a first-round pick. He had the highest separation of any wide receiver against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yet, he only had 2 catches for 11 yards. And so far this year, Jahan Dotson, who the Eagles forked over a third-round pick for, has 5 catches for 29 yards, and his yards per catch is at 5. It's not good enough. Now, there are a lot of reasons for it, and I'm not going to really blame Jahan Dotson. I blame Jalen Hurts for not looking his way, not trusting him, and Kellen Moore for not getting him involved. Of course, when you have A.J. Brown and you have Devontae Smith, you have Dallas Goedert and Saquon Barkley, Jahan Dotson is weapon number 5. But you have to give the defense something else to game plan for and something else to think about. And Jahan Dotson can help Philadelphia do that. So Hurts' trust in Dotson is not there. That's something that they have to work on during the bye week, and hopefully that's a change that can happen for Philadelphia. Change number 2. It is time for Cooper DeJean to take over for Avonte Maddox in the slot. According to Pro Football Focus, Maddox is the 86th highest graded corner in the NFL. Translation, that's not good. He is 80th out of 98 corners in the category of coverage grade. Vic Fangio did say earlier this week, and we talked about this on the show, that Cooper DeJean is getting close. Keep in mind that he was hurt all throughout training camp, all throughout the preseason. He didn't make his professional debut until the preseason finale against the Minnesota Vikings, and these 2 weeks, going into the bye week, coming out of the bye week, going into this Cleveland game, could give DeJean that acclimation period to get caught up to speed, and a Vic Fangio, who is kind of that old school boomer who wants to be able to trust his defensive players, is saying that DeJean is getting close, then I think DeJean is getting close. More numbers for Avonte Maddox here in 2024. I think his best days are behind him as a backup slot and safety. That's one thing. Not a starter, at least not right now. Overall Pro Football Focus grade of 52.6. A coverage grade of 52.9. Run defense grade 48.1. A passer rating allowed of 88.7. And a yards per reception at 11.5. And of course, when you're playing young players, there are going to be some growing pains. There are going to be missed assignments. There are going to be great plays given up downfield by the opposing offense. You're going to have to live with that. Quinyon Mitchell, 22nd overall pick, looks like he could be the top corner in this draft class. He has been tremendous to start this year. But in that Atlanta game in week 2, on that final game-winning drive for Kirk Cousins in Atlanta, he gave up some big plays. He admitted his faults. But it's about learning from that, because when you learn from that, it allows you to get better. And I do think that with DeJean, he is a really dynamic player. We saw that at Iowa, and I'm looking forward to seeing that with the Eagles. My comp for him and how I want to see Cooper DeJean used is in the way that Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, utilizes Trent McDuffie, a Swiss Army knife, a player who can do everything and line up anywhere as that versatile chess piece on the defensive side of the ball. And last year, McDuffie, 448 snaps out of the slot, 300 snaps out wide as a corner, 158 snaps in the box, 68 snaps along the defensive line. I want to see DeJean line up outside occasionally in the slot. I want to see him fake the blitz and drop back, because that could lead to the quarterback getting confused and him throwing an interception to Cooper DeJean. He had 7 of them at Iowa. 3 came back for touchdowns. I want to see Cooper DeJean stuff the run holes and stuff the run gaps. Be used as a blitzer. That's how Vic Fangio has to utilize the Eagles' second-round pick from April's draft. How about Sidney Brown? We have not talked about Sidney Brown in a little while. Sid the Kid tore his ACL in January. He is getting closer to a return to the lineup. Recently, he was seen doing some sprints on the side field. The Eagles did put him on injured reserve to start the year, which meant he had to miss at least the first 4 games of the season. That is now surpassed. And in 2023, I thought he put together a pretty solid season. 5 starts, a lot of those coming down the stretch for an Eagles defense that was struggling mightily at the time. He did play 13 games, registered 45 tackles, a TFL, 3 pass breakups, and in that Arizona game, the 99-yard pick 6 of Kyler Murray. This is a player who ran a 4.4 in the pre-draft process. At Illinois, he was a thumper, a player who's really active, a player who's really physical. He can really tackle when he doesn't take himself out of position. And the Eagles need that on this defense. He had 15 missed tackles against the Buccaneers. And what Philadelphia could also do is when he comes back, he can be in that Troy Polamalu role. He can play deep safety, which then allows you to also utilize C.J. Gardner-Johnson out of the slot when teams want to spread it out and go wide. Next up, it's Devin White time. It just is. A healthy scratch the last 3 games, and with this defense playing so poorly, it's inexcusable. Get him on the field. You gave him $3.5 million in guaranteed money, and we have seen glimpses of him be an excellent player and a game wrecker in this league. He's a second-team All-Pro. He has that to his resume. During that Super Bowl run for Tampa Bay, Devin White was maybe the defensive MVP. He was incredible making game-changing plays. And last year, I know he struggled with Tampa Bay. He struggled over the last couple of years. But you know what the Eagles badly need? A playmaker on the defensive side of the ball. A player who's going to inject fear into the opposition. A player who's going to be able to cause issues, wreak havoc, go sideline to sideline, and just be a buzzsaw. And I know that Devin White can be that guy because I've seen it with my own eyes. Last year in a down year, 83 tackles, 49 solo, 2.5 sacks, 2 picks, 4 pass breakups in 14 games. He has 6 career multi-sack games. What has Philadelphia not been able to do this year? Get after the quarterback so he can help Philadelphia with their pass rush, which needs help at the very least. If Vic Fangio doesn't trust him dropping back in coverage as a coverage linebacker, fine. Let's see him coming off the edge. When you want to blitz, get Devin White in the game because I do think that he can impact the game for the Eagles defense. With that, we pop up today's poll question for today's show. Your level of confidence in the Eagles after the bye. I want you to scale it for me from 1 to 100. 1, 0 confidence in this team. 100, very confident. Let me know right now. Our sponsor for today's Eagles Now wouldn't be possible without our friends at Game Time. If you're looking for the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed, an app that owns the ticketing marketplace where prices drop as the event gets closer, where you're guaranteed to get in the door with the best seats at that lowest price. Download the Game Time app. And when you download the app, create an account, and you use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, you get $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. You can access tickets from your phone, and if you need to, you can easily resell your tickets. Game Time Picks is a great feature because the curation makes it easier to find the best seats and save money if you want to go to an Eagles game. Phillies playoffs coming up. Sixers training camp is underway. Flyers preseason is here. But also, you want to go to a concert, a comedy show, a theater event, those tickets are available on the Game Time app as well. What time is it? Game time. Download the app, create an account, use that code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your purchase. More potential changes coming for the Eagles. Could it include Isaiah Rodgers? Throughout training camp and in the preseason, he was running with the ones, and he was performing well. Coming off that gambling suspension. Obviously, he had that bad special teams penalty against Tampa Bay. He didn't even know the rules when he pushed his man into Cooper DeJean. That led to a fumble and points on the scoreboard for the Buccaneers. But in just strictly talking about the cornerback spot, Isaiah Rodgers has been a solid corner throughout his career, and the reason why he hasn't been able to see the field, Chase, play him instead of Avonte Maddox. Well, he can't and hasn't really played the slot. Just not an inside guy. He's more of that boundary, outside type of cornerback. If Darius Slay does continue to struggle, could Isaiah Rodgers take snaps away from Darius Slay? Slay so far this year, overall PFF grade of 66.4, a coverage grade of 67.3, a passer rating allowed of 129.7, and he's giving up nearly 15 yards per catch. Highest passer rating allowed among the cornerback position, or among quarterbacks, in the NFL. Darius Slay is giving up the third highest passer rating in the league. If he continues to struggle, because 3 games out of 4 this year he has, could be an opportunity for Isaiah Rodgers to get on the field, or we flip the page to Kelee Ringo, because could Kelee Ringo be in the mix? If he were to have come out of Georgia and enter the draft a year prior to when he did in 2023, he could have been a first-round pick. He fell because he did struggle his final college year at Georgia, but has all of the traits that you want in a corner. Long, physical, rangy, great speed, and I think that speed-physicality combo can lead to him being a starting corner in the National Football League. Last year, when he was thrust into action late in the year when Darius Slay had that knee surgery, I thought that Kelee Ringo played well in 116 coverage snaps. He gave up a passer rating of 74.1. That's not bad. And we saw that long speed. And in the preseason, we saw that he has some ball skills. Jalix Hunt. I mentioned earlier that this Eagles pass rush is struggling. I never want to see Nolan Smith lined up against Chris Godwin in the slot. Vic Fangio, what the hell are you doing? I don't want to see Nolan Smith dropping back in coverage all that much, nor do I want to see that from Brandon Graham or Josh Sweat. Jalix Hunt can do a little bit of that. Bryce Huff can't really do a little bit of that. He's playing out of position right now, which is partially why this Eagles defense is a mess. But with Jalix Hunt, he's only played 5 defensive snaps this year. He is an athlete who can rush the quarterback and drop back into coverage. He, to start his college career, was actually a safety. So he does have that range and the ability to diagnose plays in the passing game, and he has that twitch and that power to be an edge rusher. When do you start experimenting? When do you start to give him more defensive snaps? That could be another major change coming out of the bye week as well. More Milton Williams is something that I want to see. Milton Williams is a good player, and we've seen that his first 3 years in the NFL, and he's made some really impactful plays so far this year in year 4. He can play defensive end in this scheme for Vic Fangio when he has that 3-4 alignment, or he can play defensive tackle. So if he were to play defensive end, he can flank Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, but if the Eagles want to bench Jordan Davis and they want to play Milton Williams a little bit more, I'm not opposed to that, because Jordan Davis has been a complete bust to start his NFL career. I don't get how he can be 6'6", 340 and not register a statistic against the Buccaneers a week after I thought he played really well against the New Orleans Saints. It's been so Jekyll and Hyde for him and Jalen Carter. Hopefully, they can find their groove as football players. That's going to need to happen, and if they don't, Milton Williams specifically taking over for Jordan Davis, that could be something that we see. This year he has a pass rush grade of 75.7, and I also like his tenacity and his hustle. So multiple changes that I think could take place for the Eagles going into the bye week and out of the bye week. What changes do the Eagles need to make? Let me know down in the comment section right now. One more segment to get to, and we are at $20 away from $100 in Super Chats. Can we get to that number? That's our goal for today. We're sitting right now at 80. And our next segment, we're going to talk Quinyon Mitchell. We're going to look at this Eagles schedule coming up and how Kellen Moore can get this offense back on track. Satire's in the chat saying, fire series. Fire series. Mike Taylor scratched his butt. Thanks for letting us know. Andrew Nathan, chat, the Trash Stros lost. That's a tongue twister. Yes, Chip and I were watching that game. I'm glad that they're bounced. What, that's the first time in many years that they're not going to go to an ALCS. Hopefully the Phillies, though, they make it to the World Series and they win it. All right, segment number 4 coming up. Continue to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. And let's get to some more Eagles talk right here after I take a sip of water. Taffy White saying Eagles. Stephen Wansley, we need to change our defensive scheme. This ain't it. Cool Rains, Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. Hate the Astros. How about Cool Rains interacting with me last night on X, talking some politics. Love it. All right, great news on tap. Let's dive in. Segment number 4 coming up right now. 3 topics that I want to hit on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now. Greatly appreciate all of you for taking the time out of your day to rock with us here on Eagles Now. And here's what we're talking about here. Quinyon Mitchell, 22nd overall pick for the Eagles in the 2024 draft back in April out of Toledo, is off to a great start, and the numbers are impressive. Philadelphia, ladies and gentlemen, has finally hit on a first-round corner, and it's the first time they drafted a corner in the draft since Lito Shepherd in 2002. So they finally take one, and they've hit on a corner. Also going to take a look at the Eagles' upcoming schedule. It really lightens up for the Eagles. Will that serve as a launching pad for the Birds coming out of the bye week to really find their groove as a football team and become one of the stellar teams in the NFC? And this Eagles offense, they have not scored a point in the first quarter all year. The only team in the NFL to have that dubious mark on their resume. What is Kellen Moore's plan for this offense to get going and to start games quicker? We're going to unveil that coming up as well. Before we begin, we are on the road to 100,000 subscribers. There are very few YouTube channels out there, especially YouTube channels that cover the NFL, who have that silver plaque from YouTube. And as you can see here to my right, we are 13,889 people away from having that celebration right here on the show. So hit that subscribe button if you want Eagles shows from yours truly every single day. Quinyon Mitchell, what a pick for Howie Roseman and this front office. The Eagles finally took a corner, and this is great news for the Eagles that it looks as though he is the real deal. He's off to an outstanding start, to kick off his rookie year. And this is a real question here. Is Quinyon Mitchell the best cornerback in this draft class? There's an argument to be made there. So far in his first 4 games, he has started every single game on Vic Fangio's defensive side of the rock. He played every single snap when it was 105-plus degrees against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Week 4. He's been targeted 25 times. He's only given up 13 catches, less than a 50% completion rate. He has excellent ball skills, 6 passes defended. That was the strength of his game at Toledo, where in his last 2 years he had 44 pass breakups. Nobody else was close across the nation. So the ability to make plays on the football, instinctually reading the eyes of the quarterback, having really good cornerback footwork, getting in and out of his breaks as a corner, and in and out of that back pedal, that is translated. So too has the 4.3 speed. How about what we've seen from Quinyon Mitchell, where he's running with burners like Christian Watson and Rashid Shaheed? Very impressive. Mitchell is also giving up under 47 receiving yards per game, and he has not given up a touchdown in coverage so far in these first 4 matchups. The overall numbers are awesome. And how about what Quinyon Mitchell did against future Hall of Famer Mike Evans, who since he came into the league, every single season that he's been a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, he has had more than 1,000 receiving yards. It's pretty hard to believe because he's been in the league so long, since 2014. That's 11 years of outstanding production, and Mitchell was not phased. He was targeted 4 times when matched up against Mike Evans, only gave up 2 catches for 19 yards, and had that pass breakup in the end zone where I loved the technique. He wanted to see and had patience with where Evans was going to go. Baker Mayfield lofted that ball into the corner of the end zone, And Mitchell had that short area quickness and speed to read the eyes of Mike Evans, get to his spot, and as soon as he saw Mike Evans put his hands up to try to catch the football, Quinyon Mitchell dislodged that football. He has also been very durable. 99% of the defensive snaps this year. And for a boomer defensive coordinator in Vic Fangio to have this much trust in a rookie corner really goes to show you how impressed he is with Quinyon Mitchell, because he's been manning outside corner, which is a really important position for a football team, and he's been flourishing. And then on top of that, defensive production and availability, Quinyon Mitchell has added 16 special team snaps as well. So what a start. We have seen Mitchell Island on full display, and if you want to take a trip to Mitchell Island, type Mitchell Island down in the comment section right now. Topic number 2 of today's show. Can the Eagles find a groove coming out of the bye? They have a light schedule coming up, and now is the time to catch fire, put it together, start playing complimentary and sound football, clean up the mistakes, and prove to everybody what you can be. And that's one of the top teams in the NFL and an NFC contender. The Eagles' upcoming schedule here. Bye week, week 5. When the schedule came out, I hated it. I thought it was way too early, but it comes at a great time. You're coming off a bad loss where it was hot in Tampa Bay. You were worn down. Players were having to get carried into the cold tub, get IVs. Everybody's cramping. You were also very banged up in that game. A.J. Brown out, hamstring. Devontae Smith out, concussion. Lane Johnson out, concussion. Fred Johnson in the place of Lane Johnson gave up 11 pressures in that game. Jalen Hurts looked lost without his top 2 wide receivers and his right tackle. So you're able to get healthy going into this bye for this stretch run of the 2024 season. When you come out of it, the Eagles will host the Cleveland Browns. Their offensive line stinks. Deshaun Watson has not been good. The defense has regressed a little bit as Myles Garrett, unfortunately, is playing on one leg. That's a winnable game. Week 7, you go on the road. You take on the New York Giants. 1-3 football team. You don't have to board a flight in order to do that. Week 8 is the next time the Eagles have to take a flight, and they will go on the road to face Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. That will be a difficult game, especially if this defense continues to struggle, but Cincinnati is 1-3. That's a gotta-have-it, win-it type of game. And then week 9, the Jaguars have been a straight-up disaster class to start this year. Trevor Lawrence is missing dudes left and right. I feel bad for Doug Peterson at this point. He might get canned. It's not even his fault. I thought he's drawn up some really good plays, but Lawrence can't hit the broadside of a barn, and the Jags are 0-4. They're not going to be ready to come to Lincoln Financial Field in a raucous environment in South Philadelphia. So the Eagles realistically could win 4 of these games. If they go 3-1, you're looking at a team that at that point is 5-3. Not a bad spot to be in 8 games into the year. Why you should have hope that the Philadelphia Eagles can turn it around. The Eagles have new coordinators in Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio, and sometimes to start September, which is an extension of the preseason, it can take a little while to understand and master the scheme. And we've seen some breakdowns offensively and defensively. Does that have to do with the new scheme? Potentially. When you canvass this Eagles roster, there's so much talent on this Eagles team. The sloppiness, penalties, illegal motions, illegal man downfield, those types of things can be corrected. Jalen Hurts' turnovers are going to need to be corrected. Coming out of the bye, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Lane Johnson will return. And going into the bye week, now is the time to make adjustments with your scheme, but also with your personnel. We know that the Eagles team can do it. That's why you should have hope. As for Kellen Moore, he has a plan to cure these slow starts for Philadelphia. As I noted earlier, the Eagles have 0 points in the first quarter all season long. Only team in the NFL that has not scored in the opening quarter. And you know what's also an issue with this? Back during that Super Bowl season in 2022, what was the theme? The Eagles were blitzing opponents at the start of games and blowing teams out by halftime. Not the case any longer. Now they're always having to play catch-up. It's not a sustainable way to play football, and it's also very taxing for your offense and your defense. So getting off to a faster start is going to be critical coming out of the bye. And Kellen Moore, he's cognizant of that. He understands it. Here's what he said. This is a really fun task for us to navigate and just find a way to get going sooner, get going quicker, because there are moments coming out of second halves. We've had successful drives just coming out of it, but we've obviously got to start faster. And so that's a big focus for us, just to continue to evaluate that and find our way. The first drive is a really great growth opportunity for us coming out of the bye week. We haven't been successful in 4 weeks. Doesn't mean we have to follow that trend moving forward. We can find our solutions and our better way to handle this. Now, Kellen Moore has his plan. Nick Sirianni has his plan. They have their ideas and their opinions. What I think can help this Eagles offense be more consistent and just be a more efficient unit, the stars returning, of course, but running the offense through Saquon Barkley. And naturally for Philadelphia and for Jalen Hurts, a struggling quarterback who's turning the football over at a wildly ineffective rate, is the run game can open up the pass game for Jalen Hurts and this Eagles team. So run the offense through Saquon Barkley. He is an incredible player. He's off to a tremendous start, and it makes your offense more difficult to defend. The Eagles offensive line, they like moving downhill. It makes the RPO attack a little bit more dangerous. The play action pass can work off of that, and maybe it allows Jalen Hurts to see the field a little bit more clear. Be sure to give me a follow, by the way, on X and Instagram, in addition to the long-form content here on Eagles Now. I put out a lot of short-form content on my social media pages, so be sure to give me a follow at Chase_Senior on both of those platforms. Jeff Chipper, a $10 super chat. Hate to say it, but when you get back your hurt players, and if you let Moore call his plays, you will win the division. Keep up the great shows, Chip and Chase. Jeff Chipper, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, look, in week 1, we saw what this Eagles team is capable of when they eclipsed the 30-point mark, and they were unstoppable against that Packers team, especially in that second half. Is that a sign of things to come? I think it could be, and I think that's what the potential of this Eagles team is. We haven't seen A.J. Brown since then, and then no Devontae Smith against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think Kellen Moore is a good offensive coordinator, a good play designer, a good play caller. But when you're without some superstar players, you're going to be hindered. You're going to be impacted a little bit. And they can win the division. But the Commanders are scary. And Dak Prescott has also owned the Eagles. All right, we are $10 away from $100 in Super Chats. Angela G back in the building. Angela G, what's up? Brain MRI came back all clear, cancer-free, so blessed. Let's go. Let's go. F cancer. Satire are us. Chase knows his shit, man. Thanks, man. I've seen you clap back at me in the comment section before, but I like the back and forth. Appreciate it. Cool Rains, Dak is a choker. Yes, he is when it matters, but not against the Eagles. Eagles go. Tommy Curzio. What's up, Tommy Curzio? Kevo saying what's up, Carol. Carol Hosey.
A lot of real ones hanging out with us today, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
$10 away from 100. That is our goal for today's show. Can we get there? I'm going to pop up the 2-minute super chat shot clock. If you send in a super chat, you can extend the show. If not, we're out of here. Angela G, we missed you as well. Go Birds.
Angela.
Man, playoff baseball's fun. Orioles, Royals, a good game. Baltimore at home. Camden Yards down 1-0. Must-win game if they want to extend their season and force a Game 3. Down 2-1 right now. Bases juiced. Chase, what's the missing piece you think we need on defense, and do you think the Eagles should play more man coverage with 5-man fronts? I think they have to play more press. Teams are getting rid of the ball really quickly. Baker Mayfield had an average time to throw under 2 seconds. And when you don't play press, what happens? Easy completions, easy yards to pick up after the catch. If you press, he can't get rid of the ball because there are DBs right there. So that's an issue. That's negated the pass rush. I think Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis have to be more consistent. We know that Carter can be an all-pro in this league. He looked like Aaron Donald against the Saints and then didn't do anything against the Buccaneers. For Jordan Davis, for a majority of his career, it's been a bust. Nakobe Dean can't miss 5 tackles like he did against Tampa Bay. The Eagles can't miss 15 tackles, leading to more than 100 yards after those missed tackles. It's just inexcusable. You're not going to win a lot of games. You have to stop turning the football over. The Eagles were -10 in turnover differential last year. I think already they're -6. You're just not going to win a lot of games playing that way. I know that you asked me about the defense, but I gave you some things there. Play more press. 88% of the time, they haven't had a man in press. Number 1 rate in the NFL. It's not sustainable. Doesn't work for today's NFL. Is Vic Fangio's scheme cooked? Is he a cooked product? Does his scheme no longer work? It's a little bit worrisome. Angela G. Gonna extend the show within that 2-minute Super Chat shot clock window. Let's reset it. That gets us to 92. We are 8 away from our goal of 100. Hugs to all. God bless. Go Birds! Doobie! A $2 Super Chat. You smoking that doobie, my brother? Waiting to be your 100K subscriber. No Diddy, go Birds. I love it, man. I love it. Love the profile picture. Love the name. Love the Diddy reference.
Hey.
I didn't even think that qualified, nor was the no Diddy needed, but I just like the humor.
Yeah, nothing Diddy about that.
No. Can't wait to 100K. We're less than 14K away.
Maybe it's the 100K for the 100,000 bottles of baby oil that Diddy had.
That's good. that is good reference right there. That's crazy. Somebody asked Jamar Chase the other day, he slipped out of a few tackles, and a reporter asked him, were you wearing baby oil? And he's like, whoa, we can't talk about that. There's a lot of controversy around baby oil right now. So he made a great Diddy reference. It was awesome. 2-minute Super Chat shot clock. 40 seconds left to extend the show. $6 away now from our goal of 100. Andrew Nathan, Chase, if you had the option that Howie makes a trade for an offensive weapon or a defensive weapon, which would you choose? Defense. Defense for sure. Or just play Devin White. I think you're good at safety. CJ Gardner-Johnson has to play better. Reed Blankenship's been a baller. Linebackers have been okay. Zach Bond's been very impressive. Nakobe Dean up and down. The corners aren't bad. I guess edge rusher, defensive tackle. But that's why you signed Bryce Huff. How about you try using him in a 4-point stance instead of a 2-point stance? He's playing out of position. Carol Hosey, she extends the show. She sent that in right before 2 minutes sounded. That's 5. And now we are $2 away from 100. $2 away from 100.
Carol. Let's go, Carol. You know what would stink?
What's that?
Would be really bad news for the Eagles is if the Commanders trade for Devontae Adams. That would be horrific news.
Yes. Commanders or even the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys were rumored to be mentioned, but Jordan Schultz did say Cowboys aren't interested. But the Commanders going all in as Daniels is on that rookie deal.
Yeah, that'd be scary. Jerry wouldn't do it. Jerry doesn't want to pay him. Too busy flying to practice on his helicopter.
$2 away from 100. We can't sign off until we get to 100.
Oh, no chance.
Those are the rules. We have to get to our goal. It's like running 25 miles for a marathon and you don't finish. Doobie! $5. We're hitting 100, and that's just the bottom line because Stone Cold Philly said so. That's awesome stuff. Doobie! Everybody like is super. That gets us to 104. We got past the Benjamin Franklin mark. Shout out Benjamin Franklin, a GOAT of Philadelphia history. Hopefully you all enjoyed the show. No watch party this weekend because there's no game. Eagles are in the bye. So we'll be back with a vengeance next week against the Cleveland Browns. And of course, still coverage to come every single day for the Eagles. Trade deadline coming up the first week of November. So obviously that's a marquee time on the NFL calendar. And we'll continue to give you the best coverage right here pertaining to the Eagles on YouTube. So we're signing off. 4 segments in the can. Hope you enjoyed today's show. We enjoyed hanging out with everybody. For Chip, I'm Chase. For all of the real ones, we out. Go Birds.